Well, shake it up, baby, now. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Twist and shout. My neighbor's like, what the? Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby, now. Just kidding. Hey, everybody. Let's get Denise in here, and we have a special guest tonight. Did you like that performance? We have a special guest tonight, my apprentice, Nuria, and she's a groomer, and so we're going to talk about that. And I used a filter because I have a drive-by shooting on my face. It didn't really help, but I'm pleased with the results nonetheless. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm going to go sit down. I was going to show you my roses, but there you are. Okay, there's Denise. All right, we're good. We're good. Okay, back to the roses. Back to the roses. Every time we start a live, we always say what's on the top, and so I'm waiting to share my thing that I want to talk about.
Okay.
What?
Did I miss the
Oh,
song?
did you see that, Denise? You were like,
I was doing a little flip.
it was like a hair of an epic hair flip.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I miss the song?
It was twist and shout, and it was really dramatic. I
Did you join
yelled
in?
at the neighbors. Well, she wasn't here yet, but the
No.
neighbor was like,
Do your
so I can,
neighbors do they freely interact with you?
yes. The man across the street, Dan, is I can imagine that he's probably your age, and he's a dirt bike guy, and he is cool. And he's just a very interesting person. And it's him and his wife are over there, and she is mowing that lawn. I tell you what, they got the nicest lawn. She's out there, but they're I don't ever talk to her, but he's very
Yeah.
yeah. And then there's friend lives there. Milo's friend lives there, and I grew up in this neighborhood.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
My neighbors don't talk to me.
Well,
No.
this is Kansas though, so
Well,
that probably has a lot to do with it.
I think it started with the turkey because for Thanksgiving some odd years ago, um,
The turkey.
you know how cheap turkeys are at
Yeah,
Thanksgiving? You know, it's the lost leader, right? I I don't know if you know this about me. I cannot stand to pass up a good deal. I just cannot walk away from a good deal.
really?
No, oh my God. I will drive to a store that's way out of the way to save money and probably spend more money in gas. I just go for that good deal.
Okay.
Well, those turkeys, they were a good deal. They were like 19 cents a pound, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I, I just had to buy this turkey, and it must have been 30 pounds, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't for me, it was for my dogs. So
Okay.
I have my own turkey, but mine probably cost more than 19 cents a pound. This one, not. But anyway, I could not figure out how to break this turkey up. It was kind of semi frozen and it was so huge. And I finally thought, I'm going to use the garden loppers. So I took it outside and I got the garden loppers, and I didn't care. I mean, it didn't have to be pretty. It was for the dogs. So I was hacking and chopping, and the pieces were like kind of flying around the yard. And it happened to me Thanksgiving morning, but
And
I was not thinking about
so
it.
do you think that them and their families were like kind of
She's
that
going to eat
way
that
at you?
turkey. I think
Yeah.
that because I brought out this really huge serving platter because it was convenient to pick up all the pieces, and I wasn't even thinking about it. So I have this huge platter on the ground, and there's pieces, and I'm chatting with the guy. So he walks by, and I'm picking up the pieces that are in the dirt and just putting them on the tray, putting them on the tray. I am not thinking anything of this because I know it's for my dogs. So anyway,
Well, they didn't know that, and they feel sorry for you.
yeah, maybe they do. But I noticed their kids don't talk to my
They,
kids, and
they don't? Are they like friendly? Look at my rose.
oh, they're very
It's
polite.
the
They're very
size
scared.
of
I
my
pretty.
it's the size of my head.
That is gorgeous. I'd
I
be polite if I was the neighbor because I might be the next one on that plate.
well, yeah, it was a little bit Santa Clarita diet. Do you know that Drew Barrymore show where she was like
Yep.
compulsively killing people? I think we're gonna get kicked off if we keep talking about this.
All right.
Anyway,
So we
Nuria,
got a
I
guest.
like Nuria.
Let's
I
get to
like
the
to
guest.
lead into guest introductions by talking about serial killers. Hello,
Welcome,
hello,
welcome,
and
welcome.
welcome, welcome. Where no topic is off limits, but
No.
we try not to say cuss words. Make that
Mm-hmm.
make sense? You know, we don't know. Um, so tell everybody who you are and where you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Nuria, obviously. I'm in New Jersey. I call myself a holistic house call dog groomer. Just because when I groom my clients, I'm taking care of them more in the sense of how are they feeling that specific day? Uh, like what are they going through that day? Like, do they need a little extra help from me? Um, maybe they're having a great day and they're going to be really good that day. So I go into each appointment with the mindset of like, okay, today's a different day. This dog is going to show me how they want to be groomed today. And I just go from there.
Oh man, your clients must love you. They must. When
Yeah,
I was
when she
dog
was telling
grooming,
me about it, I was like, "What?
I'm
when I
Wow!"
was grooming
to
dogs,
answer
it
somebody's
was
question, I'm in
nonstop.
northern New
Yeah,
Jersey.
Northern New
you might pick up some
Jersey.
clients today because
Yeah, I
that's
hope you
pretty
do.
cool
I hope
that
you
you
do.
go in with that kind of an attitude.
Yeah, I try.
So you sent me a lot of things that you want to talk about, and I want to make sure that you have time to talk about them. I have to be done at 6:40 today because I
Okay.
have literally the fullest day that I think I've had in a really long time, and much of it was not work related. Um, let's break that down because how does a person, let me ask this, how does a person in an industry that has a low barrier to entry, just like dog training, grooming's
Mhm.
the same. Like you don't have to have a degree to do it. You don't have to, you can decide you're going to do this thing and walk into it. How do you get from you step into it and we're like, I'm going to groom dogs to this approach? And I know that's like a long answer, but I want to know because I've known some really incredible groomers and I've known some really crappy ones. And I've noticed that there's this particular thing that the good ones have in common. And I want to see if you say it.
Okay.
I want to see if you, I just have this theory about it. And so I'd really like to hear how you got from there to, from there to here.
Okay. So I pretty much got into this industry kind of by accident. I started through like this online program called ABC, and they did like a apprenticeship or some kind of thing like that where I would learn online and then go work for another groomer. And they were supposed to teach me. They didn't teach me anything. So I ended up in PetSmart um, as a cashier. They needed somebody in the grooming salon, and I was like, oh, I'll try it. I did it for a little while. I hated it because it was super stressful. I went home with hair all over me and sweaty and disgusting. I just hated it. But I don't know. The universe like pushed me through it, and I ended up going from like salon to salon and working with different groomers, different kinds of people. And there was like this one thing that's across every salon, to me anyway. I feel like every time I work somewhere, I was always stressed out for some reason. Like I would either have too many dogs on the schedule or there'll be like dogs barking in the background and I couldn't concentrate and I would end up doing like not good things, like messing up with the haircut or I ended up cutting a dog, you know, which now I don't do as much. But after seeing what I saw in all these other grooming salons, I just over the years, it just happened that there was a company that did house calls. So I worked for them for a little while and I figured, oh, I could do this myself. So I ended up doing that by myself. I didn't have to, put any money up or anything. I just literally like started getting clients. and working at their house. And that was like an easy kind of like segue into having my own business. And I now have the ability to do basically whatever I want, how I want to do it. I don't have to worry about clocking in or clocking out or hearing dogs in the background, like, ruining my focus. So that kind of just, that's how I got into what I'm doing now.
Nuria just did an apprenticeship with me, and one of my favorite things about her is how concise she is. Like I would have turned that into a 15-minute soliloquy.
But
Seriously, I would have gone off on 4 side tangents, and you were like, bop, 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 bop.
she
And
actually
here's the
answered the
reason.
question. She
It
just
was
stuck to the
great.
question.
It was great. And
Now
it
we
was
have the answer.
exactly, yeah, it was exactly what that commonality is that all of the good ones seemed to do it their way.
Mhm.
They needed it a very certain way. They were not going to have a bunch of dogs barking. They were not going to do all this. And the dogs seemed happier. The grooms were better.
Mhm.
I've never groomed dogs, so well, I've done grooming as a vet tech, but it wasn't anything I would ever charge someone money for. But, I've noticed, and every person was slightly different, but they all seemed happy. And they'd come in and they didn't look stressed out. They looked like they were just breezing through the day. The dogs went in and out the door, happy as could be. They had money. The clients didn't feel like the prices were outrageous. So there must be something to that. Finding what works for
I
you.
will
Do you find,
say I am a little bit more expensive, to be honest.
but
Like,
but
actually.
do you take more time per
Yes,
dog?
yes. Usually, but like and I only take small dogs, like under 40 pounds. So usually, let's say like a Shih Tzu or something, it's gonna be like 2 to 3 hours, depending on how long the hair is, the type of haircut, how their temperament is, all that stuff. But usually 3 hours max for like a smaller dog. Medium, maybe 4-ish hours.
That's a lot,
Uh,
though. I mean, that's a long
yeah,
time.
Yeah, it's
So
a
how
long
many
time.
yeah,
appointments do you normally put
it
in a
is.
day?
Oh, you're breaking up.
I think she was asking you how much do you normally put into the day, like clientele wise. Is that what you're saying,
Yeah,
Denise? You
yeah,
buffered there
like
for a second.
3 dogs, 2 dogs, 3 dogs a day.
So my max is 4. I don't usually do 4, but that's like my max that I'll ever go per day.
Hmm.
Um, on average, it's maybe like
Right.
2-ish. Yeah.
Because you also have to drive. You have to,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to get to their house. You have to set up. You have to get the dog. But
Mhm.
Hmm.
that's nothing like when I was working at a dog grooming shop. I don't know how many dogs we did in a day. I would ballpark 10, and there were 2 of us.
Mhm.
And I just bathed and blow dried, and she did the grooming. But it wasn't unkind, but we got that job done. So I
Yeah.
Yeah.
can tell you that it was not holistic.
No. No.
Yeah. It was probably efficient, but it
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
the
When I was
kindest
at
way to probably go about it.
PetSmart, I actually did up to 6 dogs a day.
You said something during that really stuck out to me. It was just you were just sweaty and stressed out, and I can imagine. That was very visual for me, like, because all of us have stood there and looked behind the glass and
Mhm.
watched Petco and PetSmart groomers, and there are days that um the people generally look okay, but I see a lot of the dogs are totally stressed out, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I really don't know the answer to that. That's why I want to talk to groomers and just openly talk about it more, because I think grooming's even further behind dog training. You know,
Hmm.
uh, in terms of like just the understanding among groomers about how we treat dogs and help dogs with their feelings and all those kinds of things. I had another thought, but I forgot it. Jump in, Denise. Uh-oh. Are you muted?
Yeah, I mean, why don't you go back to the list? Because you sent me a list, and I'm like, this is
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's great. That's perfect because I
Thank
just wanted to.
you
Okay,
so much.
so you had a bunch of stuff on there, and I'm not going to pull it up because it'll pause
Yeah.
the thing. But do you remember off of that list that you gave us the top two or three things that you're like,
Uh,
I really really want to talk about this?
yes. So, one of them was, I guess, similar to what you do, Jerry, with the open-minded approach, like, kind of like communicating with the dogs in a certain way. Um, where in the grooming industry specifically, I don't see, like, as groomers, we do like have like a humane way of dealing with the dogs for the most part, but I don't really see a lot of groomers kind of taking into account like the emotions behind these dogs. Like, while the dog is on the table, they obviously are like, okay, well, I'm going to handle them gently and whatever. But you don't really see groomers looking at the dog and say, okay, well, you're having a bad day. Let me just like take it easy on you and like maybe not do the groom today or like do half of it or do something different that's not going to stress you out
Mhm.
while you're here. Um, so that was one thing that I wanted to kind of touch on.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's lack of knowledge? Do you think that it's I know with dog trainers, a lot of the times you'll hear that it's time. They don't want to take the time. What are
Yes.
some things that you see?
Definitely time because what I'm doing,
Yeah.
especially like one-on-one, doing like taking my time, um, it's not super profitable. So I think a lot of groomers, they're even non-groomers will start a grooming salon because they see profit. And
Ugh, it just
yeah,
baffles me. I
and it's like, okay,
It's like
yes, you can be
restaurateurs.
profitable.
It's like people trying to start a restaurant and they don't know anything about
Yes,
making food.
yes.
And I'm like,
So
why are you doing that?
funny you say that because I actually am trying to pivot from grooming to like consulting, where I'm basically like Gordon Ramsay of grooming.
That's
And like
awesome. Yeah, we need
so
I would totally watch a show about, like, you know how he has kitchen nightmares? I
yes,
would
I watch
watch a show
that all
about
the
grooming
time.
nightmares. I really would. I think a lot of people
I
would.
agree.
Anyway, I'm sorry. So that's what you want to do is I want to go around and help other groomers advance into where we are now and not the Stone Age. That
Yes, yes.
was my words.
Um,
You didn't say that.
I mean, well, I did tell you one thing that the groomers that or at least the techniques that I see a lot of groomers use are like in medieval times, basically. Like it's just
Let's talk about
old
some of
school.
them because maybe people don't know what some of the things that they see from their groomer are maybe not things that they really want done to their dog, but they don't know any better.
Yes. So I see a lot of, oh, stop it. Don't do that. Oh, what do you do? Like talking to the dog in a way that's like,
Oh
okay, the
yeah.
dog doesn't understand what the heck you're saying. Maybe you should just shut up and like do what you're supposed to do and figure out a way that is comfortable for the dog. Maybe the dog needs to move to a different position, or maybe you're doing something wrong, like holding the dog's leg a certain way that he doesn't really like. So I see a lot of groomers like verbally just using their words more than what their actions basically.
Oh, I know what you mean. I In barrel racing we call them the yellers because when they go around the barrel they yell. I'm going to say a cuss word just because it's funny and I'm repeating something that really happened, but they'll go around the barrel and they'll blurt out, "You dumb son of a bitch!" And you're like, what?
I
What?
Yeah.
thought they were supposed to go around the barrel.
They are, but the horse will do something. It's happening so fast, and one small mistake, 100 feet back, it. And so I think that's probably what it is they get to in the moment of going around the barrel and they realize that the setup has not been right. And there are a group of riders that have a tendency to automate. It's a small group. It's very small. Have a tendency to automatically like blame the horse verbally to like get them through the moment. It's like they get blame Tourette's in the moment. I don't know how to explain it. They wouldn't necessarily maybe treat their animal that way any other time, but I just see it a lot. Yeah, there's the kissers, the yellers, the silent girls that make no sound and look like they're just sitting in an easy chair the whole time. Like, how's your face like that? Mine would be like the whole time. Anyway, okay. So you want to see them not use their words so much. So if the average person was at the grooming shop and they see something like that, is there something you can say to their groomer? Or is this something that's like, it's not necessarily a conversation, they should just pick a different groomer?
I mean, I don't really know. Like if
Do
I
you
was
think
a
it would matter?
client,
Do you
huh?
think it would matter?
I mean, it should matter, but I don't I
Yeah.
don't know if like, everybody's different, right? So like I have worked in places where, maybe I'll say something and be like, oh, well, maybe like try a different position, try holding it this way, and like have had people saying like, oh, no, 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 it's fine. Like he's just whatever. And I'm like, okay. Like I just back
Yeah.
off. And I'm like, what am
Yeah,
I gonna do?
there's nothing else
You
you can
know?
do.
Yeah.
You can say, oh, sometimes I find this works better, or if you know that dog, but there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Do you talk to your clients at all about training that will help you with your job, like things that will make the dog more comfortable?
Yes, all the time. I always refer them actually to Jerry and one other groomer that I really, really love. And I don't know how many people take my advice because I don't see any change in those dogs, honestly. But
But
that's
you
why
tried.
I
Yeah, you
do. I do
tried.
try. I
Started.
give them resources. I'm like, look, they have free resources. Go check it out. Like
Yeah.
you literally don't have to pay anything. Just look at it. Um, and that's kind of why I got into her open-minded approach class because I'm like, okay, if I'm giving them resources and they're not doing anything
Yeah.
with it, I'm like, okay, what can I do now?
Hmm.
Like kind of take matters into my own hands in a sense without forcing them or, making it seem like I'm being an asshole or something. But I want to do the most that I can, especially being that I have to work with them every month. Like it sucks on
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
because
Over
I'm
and
like,
over.
okay, well now I have to deal with the crap. So,
Mhm.
you know,
Somebody said, "Oh, that's my client, Mackenzie." She said, "My best friend is a dog groomer, and she says either you understand or you don't care to. She's tried talking to other groomers about this stuff, and so many just don't care to change, unfortunately."
Yeah.
Well, yes, singing the song of a dog trainer's hot. Like that's exactly how I feel about so many different people within animals in general,
Mhm.
especially if you've been doing it a really long time, because there is something to the fact that you've been doing something for a long time and you know what works for you and what your successes are like and you get there is something to that. I don't want to discount years of experience, but
I did
so many
read something
people,
in a
we
book
call it
that,
in AA, we call it resting on our laurels.
yeah.
Don't rest on your
Mhm.
laurels, basically. Like always be progressing.
I read
Yeah.
something, I'll probably get it wrong, but maybe close. It said the vast majority of learning takes place in the first 5 years that you do something. You can be in it for 30
Yeah.
years, but the
Yeah.
reality is that most people at about the 5 year mark are like, I know it all. And
Mhm.
unless you actively pursue knowledge, change,
Mhm.
incorporation, you will not do it. The body just sort of settles into a
Yeah.
rhythm. And
Yeah, that
yeah,
happens at the fifth year of sobriety. And you don't, they like, you hear people talking about it in the rooms, but you're like not worried about that when you're a year sober. You're not worried about what people are saying about 5 years because you don't even think you can get there. And then as you start approaching 5 years, something will happen in your life. Every single person, it happens to every single person. And you get through it and you realize, like, it's like, oh, okay. And that's it. That's the first part of recovery is 5 years. I had a judge one time tell me, I heard, and the second he said that, I was like, oh God. He was like, I heard, and also I've noticed that it takes a person at least 2 years to recover from drugs and alcohol. It's a 2-year thing. And after 2 years, you're better. And I was like, wow, that's a really interesting thought. But then as I went on in sobriety, I realized that part that I was learning, that it did go away. It was over. Like I think that there is that, and that it's to your point, Denise, that I could feel that saturation at 5 years. And then I had to do all this maintenance to like maintain at that level, and it seemed like it was not useful to me. And so I went on to learn different things and do different stuff, and enjoyed my time. But I do notice that in other areas of life, and that's interesting to hear you say that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, people don't like change. For all, we all like to run around saying, "I love learning new things." I've never heard a person say, "I hate to learn new things," right? But the
Yeah.
reality is, the vast majority of us are wired for comfort, ease,
Mhm.
and stability. We really like our stability. And learning new things is uncomfortable and it rocks your boat. And if you know how to groom a poodle and you stick it on the table and you put a grooming loop on and you can get it done, and somebody says, well, you could hold the head this way, you could take the grooming loop off. It's just, yeah, but like that's where your brain goes automatic. Yeah, but,
Mhm.
and it's normal. Like it's normal to resist, and
Mhm.
it takes effort. And that was what I remember from the book. It takes effort to decide that you want to keep learning. And that's
Yeah.
just against human nature. I'm not saying everyone. I know people who are super curious and open and they can't wait to try something new, but it's not the majority of people.
Mhm.
So it is
Yeah.
hard. I was kind of hoping you had the kind of clients who'd be like, "Yay, I would love to help my dog with their nail trims. What do I do?"
And
But again,
they're
I
like,
know,
I
nah,
have
nah.
like one or two that are like they actually listen to what I'm saying. Um, but
what's the main
sometimes I
what's
feel
the
like I'm
main
just like
demographic? What do you think the main demographic of your clientele is? Like, what are most of the people like? Is it mostly older people? Is it mostly women? Is it mostly what are they like?
100% mostly women. I hardly, if I get a man, it's like he's like the husband. Um,
Same.
but I think more of them are, mm, I guess like older millennials where they kind of have
Ooh,
like,
like me. I'm an elder millennial.
yeah, yeah. I'm like I guess younger millennial. I don't know, but the ones that basically are like either they have a family or like they have like a stable job where they can actually
Yeah,
afford
for
to give
sure.
their dog the luxury of a house call groomer. So
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like they're doing it? Why do they choose that? Is it because their dog has behavioral problems? Is it because they just like you coming to their house and it's more convenient for them? What are the main reasons why someone would do that?
a lot of my clients do have dogs that have anxiety issues,
Hmm.
or they have special needs. Like I have a few that have neurological disorders, or they're just so old that they can't even take them to the grooming salon anymore because they won't take
Oh,
them. Yeah,
oh, the little babies,
yeah.
the little
Like
babies.
it's kind of sad to say, but I've had a lot of clients die in
Oh,
the 4 years that I've been
the
grooming
people
them.
or the dogs?
Not the
Oh, the
people, not the
dogs.
people,
Okay,
the
okay.
dogs, because they're so old.
But with
So,
Oh,
you,
well, at least
have
yeah.
have any died with you?
What do you
like
mean?
Like with you
while you were
while you were
grooming them.
Oh,
grooming? Oh,
No, they like
well,
No,
that's what I
knock
thought
on
pass.
at first.
wood.
I'm like, okay, that's traumatic.
You're like,
Like,
wait a
I'm
minute.
sorry,
Something is
I
wrong
tripped on the
here.
foot.
Jerry,
No,
who is this lady?
no,
No,
I have
she just meant
witnessed that before,
Denise,
but
they
no.
passed on peacefully in their sleep. Went on over
I
the
just,
mountaintop.
I just, I just finished up the trim, even though he had passed, because I wanted it to look good for you.
No, I actually have thought of like services where like if when the dog passes, like let's say they
Yeah.
were kind of disheveled, I'm like, okay, I'll groom them if they just pass suddenly, and I
Oh,
like
that's
I
I
can't
so
wait
thought
to
of
see
that.
I can't wait to
sweet.
see the marketing on this one. Like, how are you
There's
going to tell people about
you're
this?
you're like like a little doggy like undertaker, like a funeral
Yeah.
director in that scenario. I know a lady here in Wichita that has worked with. I remember when she very first started, and she caught my eye because she had little wiener dogs, and she started a pet cremation business in
Mm.
like the early 2000s, and I think she's still here, and she does private cremations, and she just goes around to the vets and does all that. And I thought, man, what a gig. But it's
How do you even
sad.
research? How do you even research that? Like,
I don't
where do you
remember how she
start?
even how she
I'm
even
trying
got
to
in.
think.
Oh, I know. It was because one of those little wiener dogs died, and she didn't like what was available, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna start offering this private cremation
I'm
service.
going to look
Yes.
this up later.
Yeah,
I'm going to
her
look
name
this up. I'm going to
is
look
it's
up
Angels. It's
how to
Angels Pet
start.
Cremation
No, no.
Services.
I want to learn about the
Oh, you
ovens
want to
and like
do
the
it? How
maintenance.
do
I
I
mean,
start
what
Chat
a
GPT?
dog
How do I
cremation
start a
business?
crematorium?
There's got
A
to
pet
be
crematorium.
huge legal hoops, don't you think?
One time,
Because got to
I
be.
yeah, well, this one time I forgot to mark a private cremation for private, and this cat got cremated with the other animals at the shelter in the general cremation. And when I tell you that I drove down there and was digging through carcasses to find that cat because I was so mortified that I had like traumatized this family for life. I've taken their loved one to. I haven't cared for him. I haven't cared for him. He went in the crematorium with all other little animals, and it was terrible, and I was mortified. And I went back to my boss just like scream crying. He's a veterinarian. And after a very long, painful monologue about how he should fire me, I should just he was like, I think you're being a little bit harder on yourself than is necessary, Jerry. It was just an orange like farm cat. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I didn't know that. I thought that this was like some beloved. And so I didn't have to, but I did. I got this like plaque and had it engraved and did all in this like picture of him, and it was beautiful. And I spent like $150 on it, which at the time was like $1,000 to me. And I took it up to the mom. I remember she was the manager at Banana Republic, and I presented her with this plaque, and I said, "I'm so this is true." And I said, "I'm so sorry. Here." And she was like, "Oh, thanks." And put it down and started.
Well, so you were a little more worked up than she was.
Yeah,
So what would you
yeah,
tell pet parents to one, pick a good groomer, and to get their dog prepped for that? What can they do to make things easier?
yeah. What prevention? What's setting up for success?
Oh man. Okay, if they're gonna bring them to a salon, and this I'm just speaking like what I would personally would do because I have my things with groomers too, but um go to the salon and see how clean it is. Like if it
Ooh.
stinks or smells like bleach or like something crazy, like that's red flag number one. The other one is like just kind of sit there and like if you can see the groomers, watch them. Like, see how they're handling the dog. Do you like how they're handling the dog? Are they using more words than action? Like, are they constantly saying, no, don't do that, or stop it, or whatever? If that's uncomfortable for you, or if you go in there and just anything makes you uncomfortable, take that as like just red flags all over the place. Because if you're able to see something that makes you uncomfortable, more times than not, there's going to be stuff that's hiding that's even worse. So
Ain't that the
definitely
truth?
go, yeah, and like go by yourself first to see how you feel, and then maybe bring your dog there and see how your dog feels. Like it's not 100% because like obviously the dog's not going to want to be there anyway, but if you can bring your dog and like kind of get him used to everything, and like the people are like welcoming to you and your dog, they let you tour the salon, it's clean, it smells nice, it feels good, like you're probably gonna have a hard time finding those places, but just go do your research, like put your foot to
Yeah.
the ground and go over there physically.
Yeah,
Are
that's a
mobile
big thing.
are mobile groomers generally a better deal for a dog?
Um, I would say so, yeah. Yeah, even though I have worked mobile also, like in a van,
Hmm.
and
Oh yeah.
so I also find that because they're not in their house, sometimes they still will feel a little anxious. Um,
Hmm.
so it's similar to a salon, I guess, because they're not really in their home environment, but at least you're doing one-on-one, so it's like more focus on that one dog versus like having to do like a factory line of dogs. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
especially if you're stressed by other dogs being around. I think the noise, the blow dryers, all that
yeah,
going on can be
Yeah.
overwhelming. How do you do this in somebody else? I'm just realizing that you really are in their house.
yeah.
Do they have facilities to make that work for you?
Uh, no. So I just groom them wherever they have space, honestly. Like if it's in the bathtub or in the kitchen sink, or sometimes they'll have like a basement with the little wash tub or something. And then I just groom, like I bring my little table. I could either set up in the living room, the kitchen, wherever they have space, honestly, and they don't mind
That's
it getting a little
cool.
dirty. Yeah, I just go wherever.
Yeah,
Literally, there's
because
been
there are so
places
many
where I just
people,
go,
everybody's different, and
yeah,
they will have different houses and different things available to them, and you just make the best of it. I love
yep,
that.
I do, and I
yeah,
love that. That would take a lot of the stress off the dog
yeah,
because
Yeah.
yes, the stranger's handling you, but you're getting some attention too, and
yeah.
everything
Hmm.
is familiar there. So,
And they
do you bring in your
come
own
over
daycare?
once a month,
Hmm.
every
Yeah,
six
they
weeks, and
get
then
to
they
know
get
you.
used to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That would be a way lower stress option than anything
Than
I
the
know of. Plus, the owner's
screaming,
probably walking through.
and especially I have always seen groomers. I was a vet tech, and so the groomers worked at the animal hospital, and so we were all together. And oh my God! So then you've got the grooming clients in the entire hospital, and that's a lot for a dog that's
Hmm.
being groomed. Yeah, I always thought that was a bit strange. I did work for one lady though, um, that was just phenomenal, and she had a really great kind of side area, and also that hospital was smaller and quieter. So I'm not saying it can't be done, but it definitely adds to it to have an entire hospital's worth of dogs and some and other species,
Yeah.
barking and making noise,
Cats.
and your Maltese is just there for a puppy cut. It's like it seems a little, it's like asking somebody to come and get their blood drawn in the middle of Central Park in the middle of a
Yeah.
concert. It's like, I don't know if that's exactly the right place to do that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
neat service. I've never even heard of that. I'm sure we have it, but I never heard of it.
Yeah.
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 Well,
There's not a lot of
any of
people that do
you,
that.
if any of you are around, Nuria, do you want to plug your business really quick?
Yes. So my business name is Tamed Manes. So like
I
how
love
you
it.
tame a lion and like the manes.
Yeah.
Um, so you can find me tamedmanesgrooming.com or tamedmanes_ on Instagram, which I'm working on. with you, Jerry. So
Yes.
hopefully, hopefully I'll blow up a little bit more.
Yeah, we're getting
And you're in
ready to
New Jersey?
redo all of it.
Say that again.
New Jersey? You're in
In
New
Yes,
New
Jersey?
northern New
Jersey.
Jersey. So pretty much, for whoever's in New Jersey, they'll know Essex County, parts of Hudson, parts of Bergen, parts of Passaic County. So
Right.
I don't,
Yes.
yeah, I just go within like a 15-mile radius, pretty much. So it's pretty small.
So that's super. That's a great service. And I think it's super cool that you're considering helping other people maybe take on that model because that's a different pace and it's a different kind of person. A different kind of person wants to work couple, 3 dogs a day, everything's slow,
Yeah.
everything's calm, versus people who want to hustle, in a
Mhm.
shop with one dog's in the drying cage, another dog's, on the table. That,
Mhm.
it's just different.
Hairstylists,
And that's
hairstylists
cool.
are like that too. You've got
Hmm.
ones that want to, move on. They need an assistant, and you got to move on to each person, and then you've got ones that want to spend some time and
Yeah.
Chat.
very similar and
Yeah.
chat and be a therapist. All right. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you
We
for having
enjoyed having
me.
you. We hadn't had a groomer,
No,
so I was like, oh, this
we
is
have
perfect.
not. And your
Yeah, we've
questions
got
were
to,
wonderful, and we didn't get through most of them, but I'm glad you were here. It was nice to meet you.
and you'll
Yeah.
have to come back so we can get to the rest of them.
Yes, I would love to. I have a lot to say. So
Good, good.
We like that. We like the chattery kinds. Just cut in the
Good.
wraps because around here it's a little hard sometimes to get in a word, but
Yeah, we're
you
both
know,
pretty chatty. Okay,
you know.
smile for our little screenshot. We did it. All right, everybody, have a good night.
Good evening.
you too.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You're welcome.